my friends, you're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, having a really fun morning of filming. So we are talking about how I can turn this dollhouse into a fairy shrine for indoors, because as you know, I have an outdoor fairy offering, fairy shrine, and a little like door for them to come through, and a lot of offerings in that door. So yes, and now we're talking about, we talked about in the last video, which is the first of this kind of like little mini series here, we talked about how to make and dedicate this shrine. And basically all you need for that, besides yourself, you just need a space. You don't need a dollhouse. I'm just doing this totally taxidermy witch style. Basically you just need like a natural water, either from a river, a stream, rain, a spring, some kind of naturally collected water. And yeah, there's not much to it, and then things you slowly collect over time, because shrines grow with time. You want to keep it clutter-free, da-da-da-da. So, check out the last video. That's the first one. But now we're talking about what you can leave for offerings, okay? So, I'm on page 118 of this book here. Excellent book so far. Really handy and a great read. Kind of hard to put down. That's why I'm obviously reading it to you guys now I'm home. So alright, offerings. One of the most practical and effective ways of strengthening or building your connection with the fairy realm is through offerings. This is an area that seems to prompt far more questions than it does helpful answers. A lot of people have questions on this, and so do I, and so did I. So I will address this issue in detail here. Let's start with the fundamentals. An offering is a gift of energy from you to the beings that you wish to build a relationship with. And that's a good definition of an offering, okay? In anything. Whether it be regular altar offerings, ancestor offerings, hoodoo offerings, conjure offerings, all of that. Right? Regular witchcraft offerings, goddess, god offerings, all of it. All of it, yeah. So many ways. So just, that is a basic definition. An offering is a gift of energy from you to the beings you wish to build a relationship with. I really enjoy that. Super simple. It is therefore important to consider that you can give... What? It is therefore important to consider what you can give that they will appreciate and respect. It is also extremely important to consider the impact of your offering upon the physical environment, as the spirits of that place will not work with you if you do not show respect for the area over which they are guardians, and the fairies are guardians of nature. For example, if you are leaving a plate of food for them, remember to be certain that any creature that comes along will not be harmed by eating any of that food. Another reason why I think an indoor altar is cool is because I could leave a chocolate offering and know that, because my cats aren't allowed in this space, and know that something in nature won't get it. The only reason you can't leave a chocolate offering in nature, and you never ever ever can, is because so many animals like to eat it, but it is toxic and even deadly. So many animals. And I'm sure that will pop up in the readings, but I just had to say that as into why I like the idea of an indoor. Yes, so back to that. For example, if you're leaving a plate of food for them, remember to be certain that any creature that comes along will not be harmed by eating that food. Fairy beings will sometimes take the form of physical creatures. Remember I told you about how my white peacocks showed up? A group of 4 white peacocks. And they hang out in this neighborhood. They come every single day, twice a day, in the morning and at night. And they came the day after, if not 2 days after, less than 48 hours after I made that outdoor permanent fae shrine. The white peacocks have been here every day, twice a day since. So when this is talking about fairy beings will sometimes take the form of physical creatures, borrowing their bodies or sending them as representatives. And the birds will actually eat the bread offerings that I give to the fae. I pour like cream and sugar onto the bread and they eat it. So I have to be double careful because it looks like the fae are coming through, in my case at least, in the form of those peacocks. And that's, I from the bottom of my heart believe that. So yeah, they'll send out themselves, they'll borrow the bodies of something else and send themselves as representative. And of course, it is of utmost importance to live with the awareness and respect for all living things when working with fairy. Continuing with this example, once the food has been out for one night, then the offering is complete. If it has been accepted, it will either have been consumed by creatures or the energy inherent in the food will have been taken out by the fairy beings. And any food that remains the next day must either be buried, burnt, or disposed of appropriately and not left to rot on the shrine or site. Any remains of debris, so you could put your breads like in the compost pile. Any remains of debris. What? Where am I? Sorry. Burnt, buried, rot. So when there's things that are left to rot, it will detract from the purity of the energy, and it gives disrespectful signals to the spirits of the place, and it can only attract negativity. So it would be pointless to make an offering and leave it there for a week until the next time you came back and it was all rotten when you got back, because the good stuff you got from it, you've got even more crap from leaving it there for 6 days rather than the good you got for burning it, you know, your candle and leaving your offering for the one day, right? So that's something to think about. And also, for your offerings to be most effective, it is helpful to really put some thought into them. Think about what it is you want to contribute creatively. God, why can't I say that? To the world. That what your strengths are and how you can incorporate that into your offerings. For example, if you enjoy baking, then you could make cakes or bread with the appropriate herbs. No chocolate, okay? Remembering, of course, to burn or bury them after one day/night. A writer may wish to write and recite a poem. An artist may paint or draw something in their honor, and a singer may sing a song. I thought of you, Holly. Indeed, we all have, with your harp and your singing, it's just such beautiful fairy offerings. Have you ever given them music? I'm sure that you have. I'm talking to my girlfriend, the Holly Witch. She's the best. She has a YouTube channel as well with some of the most wicked spells that I've ever seen on YouTube, really. Quiet! Come here, Otis! Okay, so I've got a howling cat in the other room. Let's see. So you make sure you bury him, and if you sing and you give your offering as a song or as a dance, that's something that you carry with you anywhere you go. You don't need to have the food for an offering. You can give your voice, you can give. And here's why that's so important, is because song and dance comes straight from the heart, especially a song that you make up, which is literally coming straight from the heart. But if I play some Nirvana or something that's super... Come here! Stop! I'm trying to make a video. If you play some Nirvana or something that is so deep in your soul, even if it's not pretty fairy music, if it lights you up, they see that as the gift. You know what I mean? However, if you want to listen to some Rhiannon out in nature, that is flippin' beautiful, and I think that's great too. So, alright. Wanted to say that I'm gonna have to let my cat out. Just look at my pretty fairy dollhouse while I'm Gone, I'm sorry, I'll be right back. Otis, what do you want, darling? Come on. You can't just cry all day, bud. Come on. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, the beauty of having friends that go, Jen, we love you even if you don't edit. We actually like you more because you don't edit. I'm sorry, I tried to make those moments not happen too often where I have to leave. Alright, so, don't leave them out too long, don't let them rot. To build a strong relationship with your allies and with the spirits where you live and the spirits where you live and wish to do your magical work, you should leave regular offerings in the same place, at the same time, and in the same way. So make a ritual of it. Doesn't have to be the same offering though. Okay? Just same time, same place, same way. Excuse me. Special part of that garden. If you have a garden, then it would be a good idea to have a special part of that garden put aside for your offerings, like I do. Ideally, you can build a simple shrine, but of course that's not possible for everybody. It's not essential. If you do not have a garden, then find a particular area, a tree or plant within the land around you where you feel the energy of nature most strongly, and then spend as much time there as you are able and use that space for your offerings and as a meeting point in this world between you and the fairy realm, okay? Be aware that if you do not set up a regular routine, it is important to maintain... be aware that if you do set up a regular routine, it is important to maintain it, or you may inadvertently cause offense. In the last video we were talking about that, how if you make a promise when you're dedicating it, that you really need to stick to it, because you can inadvertently offend the fairy, and you don't want to do that, because, you know, we don't want to hurt our friends' feelings. And in my opinion, these are some of our best friends. And in my extended opinion, these are friends that have been with us since we were children. It's gonna make me cry, oh my gosh. Like, yeah, I mean, do you remember the brain of a 3- and 4-year-old where you believed in magic before you relearned as an adult that it was fake, and then now you've relearned as an adult that it's real, right? Don't cry, I just did my makeup. Okay, so here's some suggestions that you can have for offerings. Actually, the very last one is bodily fluids, so I'm going to read that now because I have tears. We may be a bit squeamish about bodily fluids and so on, but an offering of saliva, a tear, a drop of blood, a drop of blood, menstrual blood, or even hair can be an excellent offering if accompanied by the right intent, usually to seal a pact or promise rather than as a gift. Giving from your body in this way is an act of trust, as to an extent it is giving the spirits of the place access to your energy signature that can be used against you if they have. For example, if you break a promise, because an offering of this nature forms a powerful physical link with the land and spirits of this place. Do think carefully before it is used as to whether you can maintain that link and commitment, especially with blood. No more than a drop or two is needed or advised. So as those tears came to my eyes, and I already knew that I was consecrating this with bodily fluids, I'm the taxidermy witch, it's part of my witchcraft. I do use blood magic, you know, and that is of course my own. So that being said, I will tell you guys every single thing I do to that. But the first offering wasn't supposed to be that. It was supposed to be a bowl of cream or milk. This is a traditional household offering, particularly at the full moon, as the offering mirrors the appearance of the moon. Always use fresh, full cream milk. And what I mean by this is you go to a natural market. You can't probably get this at Safeway. You can't, okay? You either go to a dairy or you have your own animal. Okay, best thing, have your own animal. We have goats. Pretty soon in the future we're going to have them have babies and give milk, but they're still little and we want them to play and be kids for a while. Best thing would be to get it from your magical animal, okay? Which eventually I'll have for a source, and I hope you do too. Get goats, they're such cool creatures. Okay. Next best source, go to a farm. Or from a neighbor who might have goats, who you know is a kind person who raised them in a beautiful way, with kindness and love. And next, which is what most people will do, and what I'm doing at the time, is going to a natural supermarket. In the Seattle area, we have Whole Foods. In America, we have Whole Foods. And in the Seattle area, we have Central Market. So any of these types of places, and or just go onto Google and look up local farms, seriously, and goat's milk is an excellent offering. Look up local goat farms and ask them if you can buy a little milk once a week or once a month for a special offering on the full moon, because it says here again, always use fresh full cream milk and give them the first of any bottle carton if you can. Okay, you never want to give the fairies the end of something. They want the beginning. This offering needs to be pulled for them. This milk needs to be bought, driven to the store for them. All that intent goes into it, and this is an important part of it. And give them the first of any bottle or carton if you can. This is an easy routine to maintain, and any remaining milk can be poured directly into the land the next day. Remember how we say, it's only supposed to go through one evening. And then you're supposed to dump the offering out the next morning, okay? So if you had a bowl of milk as your offering, then there's no waste. It goes right into the land, okay? And believe it or not, a little bowl of milk isn't going to cause any smell or anything. It's actually probably going to be good for your garden. I'll ask Alex about that. My guess is goat's milk. It's a high alkaline product. It would be great for your garden, is my guess. But I think spiritually, for sure, I know my intuition tells me it's great to add into the earth. Okay, so this is an easy routine to maintain, and right. So on a full moon, it would be a great time to do that, like once a month, because it mirrors the appearance of the moon. A big white bowl of milk, right? Alcohol. Alcohol is always a welcome offering. You may choose to give a whole bottle or more on a special occasion, for example. If you wish to ask permission for the spirits of place on a sacred site to perform a ritual. As a regular household offering, though, it is a good idea to give a portion of the alcohol that you are consuming. So let's say I was drinking a coffee with Irish cream. I would want to make this cup for myself, and then give them, I wouldn't even take one sip, and then I would give them a drink of it first, their portion, and then I drink from it. They always want the first. They always want the best, and you should honor them by just saying, you deserve it. You know, a lot of people, that's their only connection between the two realms is the Fae. So, yeah. Where am I at? So yeah, fairies, when you're indoors, they want what you're drinking. It's an act of sharing with your fairy cousins. Again, try to give them the first of the bottle if you can, and avoid drinks with too much artificial chemical content. In foods, in alcohols, in any offering to the fairy, think, if it doesn't come from the earth, if it has a bunch of crap added to it, they don't want it. Think that they're like the picky organic vegans, you know? Like, those are the Fae. They need to, like, have their stuff, like, primed. They're not vegan, though. Don't get me wrong. They're just like those people. Because I know. Because I've been one, like, half my life. Okay. So, and they really love mead. And I make my own mead for them. They love a good wine, a good ale, but not an alcopop. What's an alcopop? I know this book's British because it spells honor with a U, and I honored that by spelling it with a U. But anyway, next is cakes and bread. Again, always welcome. Ideally, these should be made by you, so that they are imbued with your energy. And we talk about witchcraft in the kitchen a lot on this channel. It's important, you know, it's magical. Like the alcohol, you may also wish to develop a household tradition of giving the first to the Fae. Store-bought is okay if it is not full of yucky preservatives. So if you must use shop-bought, try to make sure that it is simple and wholesome fare. Whole food, you guys. Whole foods. Consider that if you do not bake yourself, whether there might be something else you should do instead, you know. Just pick something else off this list. Incense. The burning of carefully chosen herbs, barks, and resins on a charcoal disc. I'll have a whole video in that if you need to learn. That was my first video. How to burn frankincense, myrrh, and dragon's blood on a charcoal disc. So you can do that. It's an excellent offering provided you don't leave it unsupervised. It's a burning thing. It's super hot. And that you remember to clean the ashes afterwards. So the reason why you can't leave it is just the safety issue. Not that it has anything to do with the fairies minding about that. So... incense... Oh, also, of course it is preferable that you, the incense is blended with the appropriate magical focus. Like, I blend my own incense. I blended some incense for the graveyard. Where is it? So that I could talk to spirits. I put thistle in it. And actually, the Holly Witch, ooh, I did like a variation of hers. But anyway... this is the one I made. It has resin, herbs, taxidermy. There's a bunch of stuff in here. But I burned that on a coal disc at the gravesite of my grandparents, and it was awesome. So, put your appropriate magical focus. So what I'm saying is, I made this for a graveyard, and to contact spirits for at the graveyard. I can't burn this for the Fae as an offering, because... not that it wouldn't be great, and not that I couldn't use the same exact thing, but I would have to burn the one that I made the intention for the fairies. When I made this, I had no idea that the fairies wanted handmade resin on a coal disc. Now did I? So, this one is not for the Fae. And maybe I can use it on other things besides the graveyard. I've actually burned this in my room. It smells amazing, and I could burn this to contact just like my grandparents here in my room. And that's what this should be for. The graveyard or just my grandparents. Now, I could make the same exact thing and say this is for the Fae, but you want to make it with that intent. So there's my point in saying that. Next... and it's particularly potent if it is sourced, like you forged the ingredients and blended yourself. You could burn stick incense, but it has to be all natural, you guys. Like, no chemical preservatives. And in my opinion, I would burn, rather than a stick incense for this, I would just burn sage. Or a sage that you made. You know, we made this together on my channel. I grew this purple sage in my garden, and then we bundled it up. But normal sage or Palo Santo are great smelling incenses as well. They smell very different from each other. This smells amazing, this stuff here. Alright. Also, you guys, thinking of this, and I wasn't even going to bring this up, I'm going to be making some prickly pear ink, okay? Otherwise known as cactus pear, but prickly pear. I'm going to make some of this ink, half of it, with the intention I'm writing notes to the fairies in this. So glad we talked about that. Oh my gosh, so glad. Okay, so I applied that to not incense, but ink, okay? Making variations. I just love, love, love witchcraft. Okay, we're getting close to... Oh my gosh. Okay, I just have to talk quick. Music and song. If you have a portable instrument, take it out in nature and play something. Try and play something from your heart and just see what comes to you. It's also kind of a form of divination in a way. And whatever inspirations that come to you, this is such a beautiful thing. Like we talked about before, giving song and dance comes straight from the heart. And that will help you connect with the fairy in a different way than you can in any other type of offering, because of where it comes from. And it's just such a powerful connection. Okay, next. Well, that was music and song. Dance, same. Candles. Burning candle, a candle either in your house or in nature is fine, but remember not to leave it unsupervised. Natural beeswax is best. Make sure you clean away your candle stubs afterwards. Creative acts. Write something as an offering, like I was talking about doing the ink out of the prickly pear, okay? You could make something out of natural materials, like you foraged some wood. And you could carve something out of it and leave it in nature. Because when nature grows around it, that thing that you carved is going to be there and it's going to be a part of nature. Like this is what this thing about creating something and leaving it in nature somewhere where nobody will find it. And nature just enveloping it. And you go back 10 years later and look at it, or this is your sacred space or something, and these things will be bound into the nature. It'll be like, that makes me want to cry too. Alright, and also just make sure that you, if you do a writing as a creative act, that you, recited and either kept for future workings with the Fae, or burnt and sent into the other world. Wildflowers. The opinion is divided on whether cut flowers are appropriate offering for fairy work. I would urge you to instead plant wildflower seeds that encourage bees and butterflies and bring beautiful growing life to the land, rather than take the life from the land of a growing thing. Certainly shop-bought flowers are an absolute no-no, both for offerings and for altar dressings, unless they have come from, like, your neighbor or an organic, reliable source. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, shop-bought. Like, I'm saying, like, your neighbor was selling them. But no chemical treatments. Store-bought, shop-bought flowers are so chemically treated that it's kind of sickening, to be quite honest. Like, I don't want to do rose petals anymore unless they're not shop-bought. Even my wedding rose petals, they're shop-bought. So, like, I need to be planting roses. Shiny things. Use precaution because they don't like fake metals. They're like the highest quality of things, okay? So, like, it's up to you. But also you can leave real metals in nature, like silver and gold and things like that. I bury pieces of silver when I lose one of my earrings. Like, I buried one of my most precious earrings at my grandparents' grave, right in between where they are. Because those things are good with the earth, you know, they bring, like, good energies to the earth. So, and that's my opinion. So, but it is important to say that if you wish to use flowers on your altar, if possible, they should be grown in your own space, not taken from the wild or bought from a shop. Fragrant herbs grown especially for the purpose can be, in your space, can be a good alternative. So if you can't grow wildflowers, you could grow, but it has to be specific for the purpose. You have to grow them specific for the purpose of offerings for the fairies. You could grow fragrant herbs instead, like lavender. Well, that's a flower, but it's like... Anyway, fragrant herb, like, I don't know, mugwort. What else is a fragrant herb? Sage. They're all pretty fragrant. An herb garden. Thyme. What else is in an herb garden? Basil. You know what I mean? Shiny things. Doodaloo. if you leave something of great personal value, is far more fitting than buying something shiny. Acts of devotion to nature, like picking up litter, cleaning up your sacred space out in nature, like tidying anything that could have come to it, debris, you know, tidying it away. Anything that looks like it was a human was there needs to be out. Bodily fluids, we talked about that as an offering, and we're at 30 minutes. Okay, next we're coming back to talk about things to avoid. Me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, building our indoor fairy shrine. All my love to you all.